On our 6th wedding anniversary, my wife suddenly left dinner halfway through to walk the dog. I stood on the balcony, watching her kiss my brother. Our dog, Cola, ran off and she didn't even notice. She claimed she was out walking the dog all night long. But when morning came, my heart broke. My brother sent me a text with some scandalous photos of Lily. "Bro," he said, "you're just like those clueless husbands in movies and blind passengers on the subway. Even your dog is like you, two complete losers." I saved his provocations along with the evidence of their affair, then started drafting divorce papers. Right then, Lily came back with Cola. She walked in with a familiar smile and some persimmon cakes. "Honey, don't get mad. Let me explain," she said, and then went on. "Cola ran off last night. I was out looking all night and found him this morning in the bushes. I thought you'd be upset, so I went and bought your favorite persimmon cakes. They're still warm." She came over, snuggling up to me. "Feel how hot my stomach is," she said, taking my hand and placing it under her shirt. I closed my laptop and pulled away. In the past, I would have forgiven her instantly. She always treated me differently from everyone else. I was her favorite. She looked at me with a bit of a pout, complaining that I didn't love her anymore, lifting her shirt to show a mark on her skin. Her skin was red from the cake's heat, but all I could see were the images Felix sent. She covered the marks with a burn. Watching Lily try to charm me felt ridiculous. 6 years together, and all this time she played the loving wife while being with my brother. Then suddenly Cola started barking like crazy. I snapped back, picked him up, and he bit my hand, refusing to let go. Blood oozed down my hand while Lily pried Cola's jaw open to release me. Despite her bloodied hands, she was only concerned about me. "Henry, we need to go to the hospital. Cola's behavior is unacceptable. I'm going to have him put down." Her harshness stopped me in my tracks. Was I as disposable as Cola? Cola came to us the year we got married. She didn't love Cola anymore, and she didn't love me either. Right then, Felix texted again. "Hey big brother, did you get my gift? I trained that dog well for you. Just wait until you experience some real training yourself." Lily's phone rang. She glanced at me and walked away to answer. Afterward, she apologized. "Henry, there's an emergency at the bar. You'll have to go to the hospital yourself." As she put on her shoes, I struggled to keep my emotions in check. "Can't you just not go?" pleaded. For a moment, she hesitated, then rushed into my arms. I even considered forgiving her, pretending nothing ever happened if she stayed. But the next second, she pulled away and left, lying, "Be good, honey. There's a situation at the bar. I'll be right back for dinner." She had a brother, but the family always made her do the dirty work. I protected her in the past and got beat up for it. Now I'm stuck at home recovering. I became a house husband, but I was happy, even when outsiders mocked me. I thought they were just jealous. Turns out they pitied me. After she left, I received a delivery. Some disinfectant supplies. Then my phone rang. "Babe, I know you hate hospitals. Take care of it yourself and I'll be back to give you your shot." I could hear a man's chuckle. Lily hung up, but it was Felix's voice. "No doubt." He messaged again. "Dad and Mom are mine, so is your wife. Soon our family fortune will be, too. Being the real son doesn't matter if you're not wanted." I ended up in a family that never wanted me. After a nightmare with my parents, they cherished Felix. Before, having Lily's support meant I could ignore his taunts. But now, at one time, she stood by me against her family. We'd fight back together. Felix hit me, she'd hit back. He framed me, she'd show up with a knife, saying anyone messing with me had to face her too. Back then, she wasn't well liked at home, but she'd stick up for me. I vowed to marry her, regardless of my family's expectations or their anger. But all that's changed. After 27 years together, it's time to go our separate ways. Lily. I treated my wound and went to look for Cola. He was a smart dog and always made it home. The familiar security guard offered to help me check the surveillance footage. I sat there scrolling through, lost in thought. Lily and Felix kissing before jumping into a car. Then I saw it. Cola on his usual route, trying to come home, when someone yanked his leash. Felix's sidekick choked Cola, tossed the body into the bushes. They were always together, those two. My fists clenched tight. If Lily looked out the window, she'd have seen Cola fighting before he died. But she stayed in the car. I checked the dashcam footage on my phone as disturbing audio played. My dog's still outside. She moaned, "Don't forget about the dog." But she only worried about Cola after getting out and finding him dead. Felix shrugged. "You worried for nothing," he laughed. "He's such an idiot. You've fooled him this long. Another dog will be the same." Felix's partner Steve got another dog just like ours. Lily hesitated but accepted it. "Don't badmouth Henry. You have no right." Felix's face was twisted. He roughly pinned down Lily and kissed her, her anger dissolving into passion. When she was with me, she'd always say she was tired and just liked to cuddle. Guess she was already full. I found Coke, eyes still open, in the flower bed. Buried him before heading home. The dog at home, a dead ringer for Coke, bolted as I opened the door. I didn't stop him. "The divorce papers are ready. I'm heading home to take over the family business." 3 days ago, while making dinner for Lily, my grandma called. Lily loved Cantonese cuisine, and I was in the kitchen simmering soup all day. Grandma's voice cut through the steam. "Henry, living off a woman that good? Lily's not in love with you anymore. She's surrounded by guys, and people are saying I'm a damn fool. Divorce her or don't come back. Ever." Grandma's never been emotional with me. She founded our family business. Grandpa passed early. Dad's meek because of her. She's the boss now. She wants an heir. I hesitated, then replied, "Grandma, Lily's not that kind of person. Our relationship is something special." Grandma laughed coldly and hung up. I heard she kicked Felix out of the company. Didn't matter how much Dad fussed. Maybe that's why he was so eager to confront me. Grandma called again, her tone firm, no room for argument. "Kid, get home. Grandma's handing the company to you. Felix isn't blood after all." This time I didn't hesitate. "Got it. I'll come back." I slipped off my wedding ring. The deep imprint it left ached. It was a symbol of love. I looked at the ring, tears streaming down. Nearby, the jewelry holder suddenly broke. I picked up pieces, finding Lily's wedding ring. But she was wearing one. I started reading Felix's sister-in-law's diary. Found pics of their custom rings. His caption was, "Collar just for me." Lily really went all out so I wouldn't catch on. She wore the same ring style. How many times had I fondled that ring, reminiscing with her? Was she thinking of me or Felix? I didn't want to think anymore. While packing, I found used lingerie I'd never seen before in the closet. I sank to the floor, smoked a whole pack. Memories of Lily nagging me to quit flashed by. When the smoke cleared, so had my tears. I packed from dawn till midnight. Even though Lily said she'd be back soon, she didn't return. Her friend texted me instead. "Lily got hit, you have to come." I replied, "On my way," but didn't rush out like usual. Instead, I kept erasing my existence. The table was set with our rings, the lingerie, and untouched persimmon cakes. The divorce papers sat in the middle. I left the keys on the table, closed the door, and left to see her one last time. It was bustling at the bar when I got there. I wove through the crowd with my paper crisp hair. In the center, no tense standoff, just Lily hugging a human-sized Lego and smiling goofy at me. "Henry, you're here. It's your birthday. You forgot, right?" It had been 2 hours since Lucy's call. She didn't seem impatient. As she walked towards me, my eyes, which were dry, moistened. Not out of emotion, but absurdity. Today was Felix's birthday. I remember 9 years ago, Felix's resentful gaze when I returned home. She got it wrong, but I didn't correct her, letting her fall into my arms. Felix stood there with a smirking smile, approached calling, "Sis," but looking at me. "Sis, big brother doesn't seem so happy." Lily stood up, rebuking. How could he not be? I've prepared a surprise for his birthday, he wouldn't be unhappy. Her eyes lingered on me. "Henry, I got Lucy to trick you. You came later than I expected, but I'm willing to wait. It's you no matter how long." I know I didn't celebrate our anniversary, right? Today's to make it up. She presented the Lego saying, you loved these. Took me a year to build because I was so busy. That was something I mentioned offhand last year. Yet she remembered. The DJ changed the tune to Because of Love. As Lily handed me a pregnancy report, Henry, we're having a baby. I couldn't stop myself from laughing. Not from joy, but everything inside was already desolate. Today isn't my birthday, and the kid's not mine. I had a vasectomy, you see. She froze, pain and confusion on her face. She'd said she didn't want kids, fearing she'd hurt. So I had the procedure, never told her. This surprise is a new level. I closed my eyes, tired of her lies. But Felix stepped up, gripping her hand, confident. Sis, congratulations. The baby must be mine, right? Everyone's eyes turned to me. Lily flung Felix's hand off. Icy. What nonsense are you spouting? I'm your sister-in-law. Your brother's here. I wanted you close for family's sake, not for this chaos. Panicked, she turned, pleading, don't listen to him, Henry. Trust me. Okay? I know you dislike him, but I hoped you'd have family and friends. If you don't like it, I won't force it. Don't say things in anger. The baby is yours. Messing up the date was my fault, but my love's honest. Her gaze was earnest as it was at 18. I pushed her hand away, watching her act. Felix just laughed, sidling up to me with a sly grin and cigarette scent. I shoved him away. He joked, my brother's kid is mine too, right? Relax, folks, just kidding. I turned to Lily. Lily, we grew up promising never to lie. Do you still remember? Lily nodded, looking a bit guilty, but she brushed it off. Henry, I know it was wrong to lie to you. I just wanted to surprise you. I'm sorry. She rarely acted coy outside, so her friends started teasing her. Oh, the tiger has a soft side. What did I hear? Being coy? No way. If you told me she hit someone, I'd believe it. Coyness? Never seen it. You just don't get it. No wonder my sis has a husband. You single dudes don't know the charm of contrasts. The teasing continued, but I didn't want to listen anymore. I'm leaving, Lily. Goodbye. Lily, perhaps a bit tipsy, looked at me with wide eyes. Where are you going? Home? I'm leaving too. She stumbled over, and Felix stopped her. Sis, don't leave now. You barely get out. You're always with my brother. Spend some time with us. Their friends echoed him, while Lily looked my way with a silly grin. No chance, I like Henry best, I gotta go home. She said that but didn't move, letting them surround her. Felix almost had her in a hug. She seemed resigned. You go, Henry. I'll head back later. Make me some hangover soup, okay? I looked at her firmly. Goodbye, Lily. There's a surprise waiting at home. Don't forget to check it. No hangover soup, though. No home either. With that, I turned and left, not looking back. Driving to the Smiths' family home, Grandma sat confidently in her massage chair. You're back, you rascal. How many times did I have to call you? If I hadn't pushed Felix, you'd be trapped in her games. Wendy, Grandma's secretary, gave me an apologetic look, handing me a cup of floral tea and gesturing me to sit. Wendy was always by Grandma's side. You thought Lily cared when she brought you in, helping you find your parents, right? Silly boy, she just needed a scapegoat. She's adopted, just a pawn to shield her brother from family troubles. She latched onto you to secure her place. Even after marrying you, she remained just her brother's pawn. Do you know why she got tangled with Felix? I gave power to Felix. They used each other, one for money, the other for influence. And you? You were home hurt for her. Did anyone care? Did anyone ask if you were bored or had aspirations? Grandma paused, then continued, I withheld rights from you deliberately. I wanted to see how long her good would last. Within a year of marriage, men circled her, but she didn't dare then. But once you were useless, she started. Felix wasn't the first. Listening to the dirty truth behind my so-called perfect marriage left me feeling cold. Enough, Grandma. I don't want to hear this anymore. Lily and I won't have anything in common from now on. I'll start at the company tomorrow. Grandma only desired a successor, never liking me more than her favorite lap cat. I got up to leave when Felix and Lily came back. "Oh, big bro's back. Perfect timing, sis drank too much. I brought her back for a night. You don't mind, do you?" Lily leaned into him cluelessly. From the upstairs, I said calmly, "Do whatever. Lily, you can't drink much. Stop pretending." Lily's eyelashes fluttered, but she didn't open her eyes. Turning away, I left them to it. Grandma shut her eyes again, while Wendy brewed tea nearby. They both acted oblivious as Felix carried Lily upstairs. Stumbling into the room, Lily looked at me blankly, slurring, "Henry? I need Henry. I need my husband." She flopped toward me, but reeked of Felix's cigarettes. Felix watched from a distance, a smirk on his face, mouthing the word, "Loser." I let Lily collapse to the floor and went in with a punch. "You think you've got everything figured? Think having her means you win? You won't get anything you want, you phony." Watching him kneel in pain, I picked Lily up and laid her on the bed, then slept on the sofa. Lily opened her eyes, completely sober. The next morning, before Lily woke up, I left for work. Grandma's secretary was efficient, helping me get familiar with the projects. Felix stormed into the office angry, hurling insults. The staff hesitated until I told them to leave us alone. With spite in his eyes, he sneered, "Why you? Just some orphanage brat sitting here. That old hag's too biased. You better leave. Dad won't let you take over. You wait, he's coming." I wasn't going to lean on Grandma. I needed to handle some things myself. I am the Smith son. Without your mom, you'd never know this life. Get out before I lose patience. Idiot. Despite his anger, he didn't move. He was worn out from excess, while physical therapy had kept me fit. Still, he hinted at Lily. "Sis has quite the body, with plenty of moves in bed. She says you're no good. I know some doctors. Maybe you should see them." I stayed calm. "Save them for yourself. Who knows what diseases you've got." He turned red, hitting a wall of cotton. When the Smith's father came in, Felix clung to him like a lifeline. "Dad, control him. He's cursing me." But Dad, ogled out by Felix's whining, wasn't here to side with him. Draping an arm around him, he walked him out. "Don't embarrass us anymore. You had your chances all these years and failed. Let's go." He pushed Felix out and cleared his throat in a phony way. "Henry, don't tell your grandma we were here." Felix still wanted to say something, but Felix pushed him out. That's when my phone rang. It was Lily. I hit block. She texted asking what I meant, sending messages one after another. She called me unfaithful and said I didn't trust her even though she's pregnant. I ignored everything, but after work, a group of people dragged me into a car. Familiar faces with bitter smiles chatted away. "Bro, it's not on purpose. It's all Lily's idea. Did you guys have a fight or something? If you did, don't drag us into it. She's been lashing out at everyone she meets. Please, man. Come on, just make up with her." I cut off their joking around. "We're getting a divorce. Stop calling me bro." They looked at each other. Mike shrugged and said, "Is it because of Felix? He has been close to Lily, but dude, you guys have years together. They can't compare to you two. So, you all knew about Lily's stuff over the years?" Now everyone went silent. Man, Lily messing around is unavoidable. You gotta be more understanding. I laughed out of anger and didn't say a word for the rest of the ride. When we got to the top floor of the KTV, everyone left. Only Lily was there, looking upset. "What's the deal? I was looking forward to coming home, and you give me divorce papers? The scar from buying you persimmons still hurts. Not only did you not eat them, but you trashed everything at home, all our memories. What are you trying to do? Are you insane?" She threw the divorce papers on the floor. Her eyes instantly turned red. "You want a divorce? I'm pregnant with your kid. After all these years, how can you even think there's someone else?" She lunged at me, biting my shoulder, punching and kicking, tears mixing with blood. I calmly replied, "I had a vasectomy. I had the surgery right after we married. You know whose kid it is." She froze, slowly let go, then buried her face, sobbing. She just cried, saying nothing. I tried pushing her off a couple of times before giving up. That day, you said you were walking the dog. I was watching from the balcony. I saw you hug him, saw you two kiss. Did Cola's death mean nothing? Died right next to the car you two were messing around in. You pretended it never happened, didn't you? She had found Cola in the neighborhood. Known for being tough, she cuddled that puppy so softly. Henry, let's keep it. You always loved dogs. Back then, we couldn't afford it. Now we can. 5 years with that dog and I can't even recognize it now? Lily, you take me for a fool. Still trying to con me. I practically yelled at the end. Veins popped on my forehead. She shook her head, tears soaking my clothes. It's not. She said it's not, but couldn't say what it was. I kept on. Cola died, Felix's dog bit me, and you took his call to mess around. I bet when I was burying Cola, you were with my brother. I felt my eyes burning, stung beyond tears. Inside, a fire kept blazing, enough to burn me to ashes. I grabbed her hand, pulling the ring off her finger, softly reading the letters inside. This is so romantic. Did our rings have these? My tone grew even. She backed away, wiping tears, a mocking smile on her face. Why humiliate me? You watched me make a fool of myself. Haven't you? I look ridiculous to you, right? What are you doing for 2 years, wounded, doing nothing? I need a man. Someone to cover for me. Not some wimp simmering soup at home. I once sorted out her biggest rival, got caught for it, and ended up locked away for a month. They tortured me till I had no good skin left. I couldn't walk when I got out, and now I'm just a wimp. I laughed bitterly. Lily, I got hurt for you. How can you say that? She lifted her head defiantly. Did I ask you to? You blackmailing me now? I nodded, unwilling to argue. She always had to win in fights. I let her win all these years. I would let her win now. We're divorcing. Signed yet? If not, see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau in a month. Suddenly, she looked panicked but didn't believe I'd really leave until I turned away without a backward glance. Then, crying, she clung to me. Don't go. I'm sorry, Henry. Don't leave. I was exhausted. I pried her fingers away, leaving with no regrets. But her people stopped me there. The narrow hallway filled with bewildered faces, and someone whispered, "Come on, bro. Don't make it hard for us. Just make up with her." I replied coldly, "She's having someone else's kid. Make up for what? If your wife cheated, would you let it slide?" Everyone looked down, saying nothing. Lily stepped forward, kneeling before everyone. All I saw was her slender neck, once where I felt I had the world. "Get up." I pulled, but she wouldn't budge, crying her heart out in front of everyone. "I'm sorry, Henry. Don't leave. I'll get rid of the baby. We'll be okay, won't we? I won't mess with the Lily's family business. I'll do what you say. I'll quit everything, go back home. You wanted to be an architect, we'll go back to school. I'll help you chase your dream. Okay? Just don't go." What she did used to be too dangerous. I begged her to leave the power games. But she'd never listen, saying strong women should thrive outside. I respected her wishes, stood quietly by her side, and gave up on my own dreams. Now I had no dreams left, only to take over the company and stomp on Felix. "Nope, no architect for me. I'll follow you, whatever you do." She held on tight, afraid to let go as though I'd vanish. "What's your plan?" Felix walked over with a smirk on his face, but when he realized it was Lily kneeling, his face turned as white as a sheet. "Get up, Lily," he exclaimed. "What are you doing? If he doesn't want you, I do." Lily shook him off coldly. "Get lost. If it weren't for you seducing me, Henry and I wouldn't be in this mess. It's all your fault." Felix nodded with clenched teeth. "Sure, I even sent him those photos of us in bed. What's so special about him that you're so hung up on? My grandma, you are both of you poisoned? I'm a million times better. Does family background matter that much?" "Lily," he continued, "weren't you the one who said he wasn't good in bed, and you were tired of him? You don't even want to go home when you see him." Lily stood up and slapped Felix, making his face turn to the side, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. "What lies are you spouting? I made it clear you don't get to talk about him. Who do you think you are to talk about Henry? As they kept arguing, I snuck away. This whole thing disgusted me. The next day, my office received a letter on a leaf with just 3 words. I'm sorry. I tossed it in the trash without a second thought. Every day after that, I got a letter written on a leaf. It was our old secret sign of an apology. She used to express what she couldn't say out loud with those leaves, and I always forgave her. But not anymore. One late night after work, I saw Lily standing quietly outside, looking like she'd been waiting forever. Her eyes lit up when she saw me, holding a bouquet of sunflowers. She always said guys deserved flowers too. Over the years, I never envied anyone else. I felt lucky even when people mocked me for relying on her. Now I see that happiness was like a piece of chocolate-wrapped crap, leaving a bad taste in my mouth. Her face looked ghostly pale. She must have been waiting a long time. Why are you working so late? It's too much. This can wear you out, she said, pushing the flowers towards me. I didn't take them, and they fell to the ground, releasing an unusual scent. She bowed her head, saying nothing. I stepped back to wait for my driver to pick me up. Tears streamed down her face as she pleaded. Honey, I had an abortion. I was away for the procedure. Come back with me. I'll handle my family business soon. I've talked to Dad. I'll stay home and cook for you. I've learned to make your favorite sweet and sour pork. We can even get another dog like Cola. I stayed silent. Seeing a flicker of hope, she continued. I've told Felix it's over. He won't bother us anymore. It was a moment of weakness, but you're my true love. Trust me. Okay? I asked her one question. When you brought me to the Smiths family, was it for me or yourself? I never wanted to go back home. She persuaded me, saying my family was looking for me and they'd love me. But the truth was no one knew I was the real son. There were suspicions and a long process to prove myself at the Smiths. I returned to a cold house filled with disdain and pressure, while she gained solid benefits, establishing herself in the Booth's family. Did your love for me come with strings attached? Money, power? Can you even say? Seeing my blank expression, she muttered, Don't blame me. You'll be fine by tomorrow. I was about to ask when I felt dizzy. I thought of the flowers. Before everything went dark, I felt a soft kiss on my forehead. In my dreams, we were 18 again, sitting on the rooftop, dreaming about our future. Her laughter was loud and wild. Her gaze sparkled, We'll always be together, Henry. You're my most cherished person. I nodded confidently, We will be. The sound of a dog barking pulled me back to consciousness. I struggled to open my eyes, feeling weak and chained to the bed. A dog like Cola was at my side, licking my hand. I sat up weakly, noticing there were no sharp objects in the room. Every inch of the floor was covered in plush carpet. Lily entered, wearing a school uniform with a serene expression. She placed a bowl of soup aside and affectionately said, I made you chicken soup and your favorite sweet and sour pork. I even got fresh persimmon cakes. Let's eat, then take a walk. Trying to stay calm, I argued, Release me. How long do you think you can keep me locked up? They'll look for me, and your family won't let you get away with this. Playing with her hair absent-mindedly, she ignored me. Henry, my hair's getting a bit long. You know how to do hair buns. Help me. Come on, hurry, she insisted. Annoyed, I shook my handcuffed wrist. How am I supposed to do that when you've got me tied up? I can't believe you're such a psycho, Lily. It's disgusting. Tears in her eyes, she almost lost it and lunged at me, biting softly when I groaned in pain, whispering, Don't say that. This world can hate me, but not you. She released me from the handcuffs, only to quickly lock her own hand to mine. Now you can move freely. I won't agree to a divorce unless I'm dead. So here I am, trapped in her gilded cage, unable to escape. We haven't had this much time together since we were 18. Now we have plenty of time, but we can't stand each other. I mostly keep silent, which she doesn't seem to mind. The sprawling villa now boasts an art studio and pottery room, endless crafts. She pulls me into the past, recreating everything I threw away, even retaking old photos. I play along, pretending to be compliant, but she never lets her guard down. I attempted to escape once but failed, and ended up cuffed to the bed again. Left with no choice, I feign illness. At the orphanage, I got bullied so badly I started faking seizures. Foaming at the mouth and rolling my eyes back, I looked scary. Today after lunch, I pretended to have a stomachache and rolled around in bed, looking like I was in pain. Lily panicked, trying to act calm, but her voice trembled. "Stop faking it, I've seen your tricks before. You can fool others, but not me." My body started convulsing, and she freaked out, unlocking my handcuffs and carrying me outside. "I'm taking you to the hospital, to the hospital." The moment I saw the car, I grabbed her neck and demanded the keys. She didn't get angry. Instead, she took a knife from her waist and stood in front of the car. I started the engine, and she cut herself, leaving a trail of blood. "You can leave, but know this, if you go, I'll die." She smiled indifferently, cutting her arm again and again. Blood dripped as she stood there, her face getting paler. I floored it past her, tossing a line at her. "I died the day you cheated." When I broke free, I called an ambulance for her. Once I got back to the family, I found out Felix was missing too. The police were frantically looking for us. I provided Lily's address when I returned. When they arrived, they rescued a nearly beaten to death Felix, his tendons cut just like mine were. Lily was rushed to the hospital. Her hands were dirty with too much blood. It wouldn't wash clean. I took over the company, becoming the loneliest light in a sea of thousands. My office turned into my second home. 3 years later, I handed the company to Felix. He looked overjoyed. After becoming disabled, the Felix's family kicked him out, and he couldn't do anything, becoming a debtor. Before he realized, I quickly left the country. When Grandma handed the company to me, it was already showing signs of loss. She was old, and the company was rotten with corruption. I didn't have what it took to turn things around. The company went into debt under my watch. He inherited only debts, no money. I never gave up my dream of being an architect. All these years, I kept studying. I went abroad because I got an acceptance letter. They never raised me but wanted to control me. Yeah, right. Stepping onto campus felt refreshing. Nothing back home mattered anymore. Lily was sentenced to 20 years in prison. After she went to jail, she sent me a new divorce settlement, handing over her assets to me, leaving with nothing. There was also a letter made from leaves. There was nothing on it, just holes from bugs. Holding it up to the sun revealed only a tattered mess. By this point, words were meaningless. You don't have a name. From now on, you'll be Henry with a name that stands out. Like you, I have no home. I'll look out for you. A young Lily pulled the confused Henry toward the crowd. Their story was over, but Henry's had just begun.